Good morning, everyone. Um, I welcome you all for the first Shikharam talk. Myself, Dr. Lakshmi Mangsuli, who is working as a doctor in Chitradurga. Here is a chief speaker, Shri Sachin B. Sabnis, who is a famous industrialist and a youth icon, who will be talking about youth in entrepreneurship. This talk will have a introduction about the speaker, followed by the speak. So here are present Mr. Sachin Sabnis, who is born and brought up in Belgaum, and he started his career in Bemco Hydraulics Belgaum, followed by Ashok Iron Works, and he owns his own industry in the name of Mrs. Sai Belgaum Ferrocast India Private Limited, which was started in 2006. And we can say a few words as in 2019 he has been nominated by Ministry of Human Resource Development to the Board of Governors of National Institute of Foundry and Forge Technology in Ranchi for 4 years. And his social services, he is a advisory council member for Belgaum Foundry Cluster, and he is a state executive council member of Laghu Udyoga Bharat, and he is a district president of Belgaum district for Laghu Udyoga Bharati Karnataka, and he is a director for Belgaum Manufacturers for Industries of the state, and he is also a member of Rotary Club, and he is a director of Belgaum Golf Association, and he is also a convener for Intellectual Forum for Buddha Bharat. And this is very important. He has been recognized as Entrepreneur of Year Award by TIE Hubli in the year 2017-18, and he's also in the year of 2018. He's been awarded as Entrepreneur of the Year by KLS IMER Belgaum. And his main strengths are the proactiveness, the open-minded, courageous, leadership, time management, and he's a self-starter, self-motivated person. He's very competitive, creative, and he has his own innovation and self-determination, also passionate. And coming to his family, he's been married to Mrs. Sarita Sabnis, and he has 2 kids, namely Aryan and Amani. Here I present famous industrialist, Mr. Sachin Sabnis. He will be speaking about youth in entrepreneurship. Sir, I hand over this meeting to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lakshmi Ji, for that kind introduction. And it is indeed a privilege for me to be part of Shikharam and Shikharam Talks. This is the first talk that Shikharam is organizing, and it's indeed a privilege to be the first speaker on this Shikharam Talks. And the topic that has been given to me today is youth in entrepreneurship. Actually, I would like to just, before I start with my presentation and take you ahead on this journey, I would like to set the context of these two words, very important, youth and entrepreneurship. And the in-between word, in, is also equally important, though a very small word, but a very important. We need to understand the situation that exists in our nation today. So I'll just take you a little bit of a context to where we are actually. In year 2020, as we all know, India is amongst the youngest nation in the world. They say that the average age of Indian is around 29 years. So it means that close to 65% of people in India are born after 1990. And there is huge number of millennials as well today. So we cannot just neglect them and not think about them. That is why this youth is a very important part of this particular discussion. At the same time, we need to know that we are a country of more than 1.3 billion and with a GDP of around 2.6 billion and a nominal per capita income of as low as close to $2,000. It makes equally important that the entrepreneurship should be imbibed in our day-to-day life. And as many entrepreneurs come, it is also a very important for the social growth of this nation, because it is also, I personally consider entrepreneurship as also a part of a social work towards the nation, as many people you can employ. And today we find a lot of graduates without jobs, and there is a economic disparity that is happening between the urban and rural areas. as well as the working conditions are changing. The youths are thinking differently. So entrepreneurship is something which should come very, very naturally to us, and it is one of the career options I personally feel that the youth should really think about, because without entrepreneurship, it would be very, very difficult for all of us to find jobs, or maybe have some kind of a living in the times to come. So basically, what are the problems? Initially, I'll just take you lightly for first 2 or 3 minutes to what are the problems faced by the youth when it comes to entrepreneurship. Is maybe something like funding, government support for the startups. There is not a very close connect in our country about the education and the industry. There are no many experiential learning programs that are being part of the education curriculum, and that is something we need to do a lot to see that our youth take up to entrepreneurship. But during last 8 to 10 years, we have seen a lot of young entrepreneurs. We know about the Oyos, we know about the Flipkarts, we know about the Mayantra, we know about the Lenskart. So there are so many people, there are a lot of youths who are already taking up to entrepreneurship. And the problem the youth face basically to start off with entrepreneurship is problem to quit and start to take that decision, building right team, financing, maybe the time management, building the right marketing setup. So these are something that are always being part of it. But most of these things, like team building, finance, and all, can be found out on the most of the internet platforms on Google. Even if you just Google it through, you might get into this what is entrepreneurship and what are the problems faced by youths in the entrepreneurship. This can be very easily found out. But basically, I would like to take you on a little bit different journey as my experience, because I started off as a first generation entrepreneur, and at the age of 21, 22, I just thought of being an entrepreneur. And I think sharing my own experience about the entrepreneurship would surely get some message across to the youths. And as I get to understand that there are many youths on the platform today on this particular Shikharam talk, as well as it is kind of a heterogeneous group that we have here. Some of them are professionals, as well as from teaching fraternity, as well as business school students. So basically, I would like to just take you through this journey, life cycle of an entrepreneur, basically. Uh, the basic thing, how it starts as an entrepreneur, or what the youth need to do, because rather than putting you across through a PowerPoint presentation, which most of us can very easily have access to when we just Google it across. I would like to take you through a little bit of a different journey so that you understand it better, or you understand it from, as I said, experiential talk. I would like to do a little bit of an experiential talk, is what I feel. So let me talk about the genesis, growth, and finally a graduation, how the entrepreneur goes. And you will find out at the end of the talk that I have covered most of the things that maybe you might have thought about to start off as an entrepreneur, basically. I have been deeply inspired by thoughts and vision of Swami Vivekananda. And I would like to say, he says, life is a journey, but not a guided tour, basically. And we all need to look upon whatever the education that we had, and where we are, just as a realization of perfection that already exists in a human, or exist in a man. So let me take you through this unconventional journey of an constant evolution, rejuvenation, as well as most important, not it is not about the ownership of a business or an enterprise, but creation of a destiny. Basically, I would call it as a creation of a destiny for self. And I have come to believe that entrepreneurs are usually not born, but they are made. They belong to a different orbit, basically. They think differently. They work on their projects differently. That is why ultimately they start getting to entrepreneurship. So basically, I would not like to, as I said earlier, I would not like to take you through the known and familiar or some what we call as a boilerplate attributes, which most of us can very easily access and which can sum up as an entrepreneur. But I would like to take you through something which I personally feel is a little bit different, basically. So I call it as a entrepreneurship demystified most of these words. I just have put them in a Wordle because I don't want it to be in a kind of a PowerPoint where there are points made one by one. But these all things you will find in Google, like passion, self-motivation, discipline, determination. This is what all you need to start. But as I said, the entrepreneurs are unique. They are not something like you cannot build on these all things one by one and ultimately say that I have all the out of 10, I have 10 attributes that are needed, and now I can go and become an entrepreneur. It is not so. So basically, let me start with my first slide, which I call as a destiny optimized. So basically, why do I call as entrepreneurs as unique? Is it is because an entrepreneurship is not about what I know. Honestly, it is about exploring the unknown. Basically, it is not about what I know about it. It is exploring the unknown. When a youth or a young person start with entrepreneurship, I started way back in 1992. It is not that I knew everything, but I was ready to explore the unknown. So anybody who wants to think about being an entrepreneur, he should think about exploring the unknown. And you cannot, as I said, you cannot learn to be an entrepreneur. The most important word out here is you should learn to unlearn things. Most of the times, most of the things are taught to us, but we should, throughout our life, try to unlearn things, because until and unless we unlearn things, we won't be able to learn newer things. And to start off as an uh, entrepreneur, it is about me. I usually start with me. It is about you. You want to be an entrepreneur. That is very important. And as a youth, as a today's youth, what do they look out for? Today's youth are looking out for freedom. That is the most important part of the millennials' life, or the people, as I said, younger country with an average age of 29. The most important thing everybody is looking out for is freedom. Freedom from time, freedom from taking decision, freedom to achieve big or dream big. That is what everyone is looking out for. And entrepreneurship is something which can give all these things to you. So it is about discovering one's own core competence and values and layering it, basically. Once you know your core competence and then you try to layer it with your values, then you will ultimately achieve the success. That is what I call it. Is, as I said, the first slide, it is about me, what I want to do. As I say, freedom, experiential learning, breaking the shackles. This is all about myself. It is what I want to do as a young person. As I say, it is ecology of me. It is about doing things different. It is not about doing things differently. It is about doing the things in a different way. Basically, innovation, people most of the time think of starting a company and they want to invent something new. I honestly feel that's not possible for each and everyone. Today, I see a lot of startups and they want to come up with some product and they want to say that this is going to go and create a market for ourselves. Not necessary. If you even learn to do things differently, whichever already existing things, that would be a great achievement. It is about breaking the shackles as well. Considering our society, there are a lot of pressures on us. There is pressure from the family, because you are trying to, as I say, entrepreneurship, you can reap a lot of rewards, but then it comes with a lot of risk as well. So socially, most of the time, our families are a little bit reluctant to say that, okay, you can go ahead and have a shot at being an entrepreneur. So peer groups is another thing. Family, peer groups, socially, what people will feel is most important. And as I said earlier, it is about mastering the experiential learning. Because when you start in youth, I am a very strong proponent of people should start or give a try to be an entrepreneur at a very young age, because at a young age they can really, even if they fail, they can give it another couple of tries and then get back to something which is stabilizing their life. Because looking at the social structure of our family structure, being an entrepreneur at a little bit later part of your life usually puts you at a huge risk and a huge risk from the social point of view. So we need to always promote the younger generation to try to give a shot at entrepreneurship. And when you are young, your experiential learning, you need to master this art of experiential learning, because without experiential learning, you're going to fail, but you have to learn on your own. Yeah. The third slide speaks as you have already thought about yourself, what you want to do, your belief, and whatever. The next stage come is what I call as a ecosystem crystallization. As I said earlier, there are a lot of talks about what is government is going to help me, or the finance that is needed, how to build a team, who is going to give me the order, what you are going to do. So here we need to learn that once I am very much convinced about what I want to do, I am very much sure about myself that I want to be an entrepreneur. This is when this transition from me to you will happen. And you yourself in an ecology of stakeholders around you. This generates the next level of positivity. This is when you feel that there is a bank which is ready to support you. There are angel investors who want to come and invest into you. There are other team people who will come and who believe in your idea, basically. So you develop a conducive ecology around you, basically. You see that there are a lot of people with a shared destiny who want to be part of your destiny. So this happens basically, this generates the next level of positivity in your journey. So it is about harnessing this ecology that exists around you, and how you can achieve this is this will be done with the small and bankable behaviors, sense of self-belief. So when people are looking at you, they are observing you. So they feel that you really believe in the idea, you believe in what you want to do, then they will believe in you. Until and unless you have your self-belief, nobody or the ecology around you, let it be bankers, angel investors, or any other people who really want to help you, will never be part of your ecology until and unless there is a strong self-belief in yourself. So there is always, once you display these characteristics, there is a subconscious impact on the stakeholders in the ecology, and this ecology starts gravitating towards you. Basically, the people with shared destiny relationships, they start coming, and you develop a constellation of stakeholders around you. Encouraged by this association and newer relations, the forces of growth and positivism. This is when the business usually starts to take off. This is the time. These are the first two stages where a lot of youth have a lot of problems, and they keep on before entering into an domain of becoming an entrepreneur. They usually have a lot of risk. They feel that who's going to support me, how it's going to happen, how the team is going to build. So this is where you need to, these are the most difficult two steps that you need to take to be an entrepreneur. So as your horizon expands, good things starts to happen. Your infinite potential intersects with the optimists from the ecology, and the opportunities start happening. The entrepreneur thus emerges as a force multiplier, because you have so many people that are going to help you, and the growth trajectory usually happens. After that, it is more about the attitude. I always give a very important this about what's your attitude, because once you have harnessed these stakeholders, you have reached certain level, your business achieves some level of stability. But as a human, we have a level where many a times people succeed during, we have seen a lot of entrepreneurs, they succeed during first 3 or 4 years of their entrepreneurial journey, but later on they are on a downslide. This is because there is so much of a self congratulation about what you have achieved in life that you don't think about something different. So what are the negativities that the youth or the entrepreneur should look out for when they are going on this journey is something like satisfactorily maybe underperforming. Just a minute. I think my, yeah. So what they should look out for? They should look out for satisfactorily underperforming, unproductive business. I can do everything kind of a stuff. I don't need feel to learn. See, learning is a, as I said, unlearn and learn. These are the most important part of the whole journey. And we should learn to unlearn. That is very, very important. If we don't unlearn what we have learned, we are going to land ourselves into a big problem. We always need to take training because business at different levels need different levels of skill sets, and until and unless we develop different level of skill sets, that is going to be different. Everyone, peers, that is very important. You reach out to a peer where the peers start feeling that you are successful, and that gives you a level of unsatisfactorily congratulatory kind of a behavior. So you need to pursue kind of peer company that you're going to keep. If you're ready to change the peer company that is around you, then you can think of going to the next level. You're destined, because out here, if you get into this, what I call, you're destined to land into a situation called as a failure of success. In this situation, we have seen the disruptions are normal. We have seen the COVID. Nobody imagined about this. So the conventional definition of success is a beginning of a slide. You usually have to reinvent yourself all the time. Your enterprise and you are the same at the beginning. This is the most important thing. When you start an enterprise, you and your enterprise are the same at the beginning of the business, but slowly your enterprise starts acquiring an immortality, and thanks to your hard work. But at that time, you should need to distinguish that the enterprise is becoming too big than what you are, and that is where the comfort zone could seriously affect the enterprise's mortality and could create problems out there. Attitude, basically, as I said, attitude, thinking globally, locally to globally. We heard the we should be vocal about the local, but when I'm saying that you need to think globally, I don't mean by global or the world. Basically, it is about thinking around you. Your thought process need to be very, very more broad based. You should be able to see the big picture. You need to expand. That's what I say, thinking locally to globally. Out here, you need to see about the big pictures, intangible, assessing the intangible. This is the most important part of an entrepreneur journey. Until and unless if you start thinking about everything that is tangible, then that's where the problem starts. The entrepreneur should have a skill of looking at intangible. You do something, it will reap you or it will give you the benefit. Some marketing decisions, it will reap you or give you the benefits in years to come. So that is going to be different. Your outreach needs to be cosmic rather than being very transactional. Everything cannot be transactional. The canvas on which you're working needs to be bigger. Trying hard, to approach and trying hard is something a lot of people try doing. Basically, if you are very sure about what you are doing, I think most of your efforts should be very, very effortless, and trying hard is something can harm you sometimes rather than help you. Unlearning what you have learned, I have already spoken to you. The opportunity needs to be assessed differently at each step of the journey. It is, you need to think differently basically. The entrepreneur evaluates or accesses opportunities for growth, which eventually decides his altitude. The growth is a result basically of a very clear focus on areas of competence and magnanimity to seek advice. See, you need to, since you are the youth when they start, as I would share with my own experience, it is more about experiential learning, taking advice, having some kind of a mentors going down the line. Mentoring is very, very important. You have to speak to people who have done and seen all, and you can learn from their experience and go ahead. Again, as I said before, you have to understand that innovation, inspiration, intelligence is not about different things. It is about doing the things differently. After you have achieved some level of success, as I said, there would be always self-congratulatory nature of humans. Basically, you should at that level think of rebooting yourself to the next orbit. As I said earlier during my initial, truth is far from being comfortable. If you are in this terrain of truth, that is the entrepreneur, you need to look at the facade and not at the facts. Basically, success is a result of entering an uncharted territory, seeking new challenges and ability to start fresh. When I say now we have faced through a very big disruption, that is a COVID. When I speak about the business, I speak about an enterprise that is 2.0. I don't speak about the what I had done prior to COVID. Most of the people say before COVID and after COVID. This is a very important word. Even in our individual growth or individual life, we need to understand what we are doing. So basically, higher orbits and reboots require entrepreneur to think beyond the immediate and the visible horizons. The entrepreneur should reconfigure his physical personal ecology by seeking a peer group that is healthily challenging commonly held notions amongst the business and not in psychophancy. After some level of psychophancy, you end up with friends or you end up with peers who are at the same level as you. And there they try to, rather than help you, there is more of a psychophancy and there is more of a self-congratulatory things from that, that usually doesn't take you to the next level. It usually tries to pull you down. So when you want to be an entrepreneur, you develop a peer group, which is entrepreneurial thinking in nature, rather than somebody saying that, Array, we will do a job and that is better. Why we go for newer expansions? Let us, we are happy with where we are. So basically, the entrepreneur needs to think about the enterprise at the entrepreneur should further acquire new ways of assessing the risk and opportunities relative to the scale that is already accomplished. You might notice that I am again and again saying about the comfort levels that need to be taken care of. After that comes kind of a, as I said, enterprise 2.0. It is a regeneration before COVID and after COVID. Everyone, even in our personal lives, even in our professional lives, even wherever we are working, we need to think differently now. Basically, it is a time, 60 days we have got to think across like what we needed to do. So we have to reboot the enterprise number of times. Basically, an entrepreneur should know that over his career, it is not that he starts a company or he starts a startup and it is over. After year on year, he should be able to reinvent himself with new technology, new skills, and till it keeps on. These regenerations might happen multiple times depending on the nature of business. And out here, he should realize one thing, which is very important, that enterprise is an immortal and individual should only be an idea. The name, the individual who starts it, you are just an idea after some time, but your enterprise should be an immortal. But an entrepreneur, being an unreasonable person, as I always say, could begin to realize, rationalize on reality, and thus he is unable to think. Rationalization is actually an attempt to identify the excuses and seek solace in whatever success that we have achieved. Break away from your thoughts and actions which carried you on this journey so far. Seek new grounds, new challenges, and a new you about yourself. You need to think about yourself after some level where you have reached, what you want to achieve, where you are going, because you have already achieved certain level of success. Maybe it is a time for you to think at the next level. Think about leaving behind a legacy. Very important for every person, every business, every entrepreneur. Even at the beginning, the youth who wants to get into an entrepreneurship, you should think about leaving behind a legacy. Legends and leaders belong to people and place beyond the generations. We need to understand that world is not built by people and material. It is built by legacy. The legacies of competence, courage, truth, responsibility, and selflessness. These seeds of regeneration of enterprise are laid by successful entrepreneurs. By taking action of trusting staff, building teams, very important during these active years, to see that the company lives beyond or company lives on seizing opportunities and propelling the enterprise to the next level, which I usually called as enterprise 2.0. At the same time, because this next slide might not be for the youth, but I always from the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, there should be always a planned dispensability everywhere. Basically, as I said, the enterprise is immortal, and you at the end, the entrepreneur just becomes an idea. Hence, the successful entrepreneur who have regenerated over and over again, these successful entrepreneurs have built great teams, they have a great business, they have a great marketing, but somehow at the end of the day, they fail to arrive at the accommodation about their personal mortality. On one hand, they have bought across life insurances and everything we believe in, but on other hand, we believe that in an entrepreneurial journey, we are going to be here forever. Beyond our competence and compatibility, how do we plan for this continuity of enterprise is going to be the most important part of this planned dispensability, what I call. Stepping aside from any of the work is most crucial and often the most important decision that sometimes re-energizes the enterprise. We don't realize. We always feel that we can do everything. Basically, the teams out here, I would say, building the right teams, building the right people, having the right people is very, very important. And time to exit for everyone is inevitable and requires a deliberate attempt. A lot of people ask me, like my next generation kids, they usually don't want to come and work in our enterprise. My honest and very, very candid answer to them is, if they have to come and work there, then you have to make a place for them. If you are not ready to create a place for them, uh, there is no way they are going to be part of your enterprise, because you are the place that they are looking for, or the place that they want to be an entrepreneur is already occupied by you. And until and unless you empty that place, none of the younger generation is going to come and work. And finally, I would say, whatever I talked about, let me get to the distillation part of it. As I said, we started as a young entrepreneur. You start with you. It is about you, your compatibility, your core competence, everything, the drive to be independent, the drive to master the destiny, you want to be make money, freedom from time, freedom from making decisions and all. But then that is what attracts the ecology around you. And beyond this, as I said, entrepreneur is a seeker of youth and excellence within. From recognizing that inner drive that was there, belonging to positive ecology that you developed with your team members, the other supports thing that you might get because you have exhibited that positivity, and you have reached a plateau and you regenerate again and again to make your enterprise something big. Like regeneration is about the summit, because it is like the next stepping stone. As I said, prior to COVID and the next COVID, when we think that it is the stepping stone to the next level. So constant rebooting is essential only to leave behind a legacy and a system that shall confer freedom to all who associate with it. It is not an expedition or conquest, but one a journey of a self-discovery, a discovery into transient nature of our life. Thus, this journey of an entrepreneur or individual, as I said, it started with me and relating to you or the ecology, seeking the altitude, basically the growth, realization of truth, basically the discomfort of that we need to understand. There cannot be a, Swami Vivekananda always says that if there are no problems in your journey, then you can be very much sure that you are not trying enough, basically. So this discomfort in itself should be an signal to you that you are not trying enough, or everything is very comfortable, that usually we try to land in this comfort zone. That is very one thing we need to avoid. And preparing for, as I said, regeneration and eventual planning for dispensability. So this is how a journey of an basically an entrepreneur, and for the younger generation who want to take up entrepreneurship, these are some of my views. Basically, I didn't want to go with a regular Google kind of a presentation about where you get the funding, where you get the finance and all. Most of these can be Googled and found out. But I thought this is something which I needed to present to you. And finally, I would say that I would end my talk with a quote from Swami Vivekananda, who says that comfort is no test of truth. On contrary, truth is often far from being comfortable. So thank you very much, and you have given me this opportunity to speak. And this is a new format where I hope, have kept up with my time. Maybe I'm at a hurried at some of my slides, but we are building up a platform where maybe 15 or 18 minutes of a talk should be something we all should be able to put as many our thoughts and ideas into this particular thing. So it was an esteemed company, basically, with Shikharam, so many gold medalists. Though I myself am not a gold medalist, I think it was an esteemed company for me to share my thoughts with all of you. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, Chetan, I think we can have more of a discussion on it.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.